Assalamu alaikum. You're on mute, Sheikh. Shakir, you're on mute. We're going to start in a second.
Okay, I think I'm good now. I had to click it off mute.
Mr. Guest, hello. You're on mute.
Hey, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening. Hello.
All right, gang, it is 6 o'clock and welcome to the Supper Club. The Supper Club is hosted monthly by no other than the Axum Leadership Group. The Axum Leadership Group was founded in 2016, and our mission is we believe that access to a quality education is the right for all United States citizens. Our mission is to close educational gaps based on race, gender, culture, and social economics. Students and social economic demographics are rapidly changing in the United States of America. Educators must be prepared for this demographic shift. And we believe that continuous learning and training of K-12 and beyond staff members and school districts is the key for success. Again, welcome. I am Reginald Griffin. I am the Executive Director of Axum Leadership Group. And I would like to thank everybody here today. Also, for some housekeeping information, we are sponsored by Southern Coffee, and each one of our panelists will receive some coffee from our sponsor. So again, welcome, good evening. And we're gonna jump right into this today. We have we're still waiting for some of our guests to come in, but we're gonna get started. And today's discussion is, or dialogue, I should say, is the stakes. The stakes are high regarding high-end classes, and we're talking about dual enrollment, AP, IB, honors, as well as standardized testing to include PSAT, SAT, and ASVAB. So again, we have an eclectic group. We just have Ms. Principal Hull pop in right now. We have an eclectic group, outstanding group. So today we're going to do something different. We're going to start in the classroom with Mr. Guest, and we're going to end with Dr. Shakir Abdullah. And so he is a vice president at Clayton State, a longtime higher ed vice president, as well as educator, to include at Columbus State University. So we're going to start with Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest is an outstanding advanced placement teacher at Spencer High School. I had the honor of hiring him my last year at Spencer, and he didn't disappoint when I was there, and he has continued his success till now. Mr. Guest, would you talk about honors and AP classes, and would you talk about those current classes that you currently teach at this time? Give me 1 second.
All right, I got it. Yes, good evening again, everyone. My name is Aaron Guest, and like Mr. Griffin said, I'm an AP teacher. I teach economics. My field of study is history, and that's my passion. That's why I actually got into teaching. But I was asked to teach economics when I first started, and I kind of fell in love with the subject and the grade level of teaching seniors, and I really enjoy it. And I try to wrap as much history in there as I can. But I've been teaching AP macroeconomics for about 5 years at Spencer. I've had a couple of AP classes and honors classes as well. And it's very valuable. What we've ran into at Spencer, I came at the end of Mr. Griffin's tenure, that actually finding the students who want to take those classes, who want to engage in that opportunity, has been a challenge for us to actually even make the classes, to fill those classes up, especially with AP macroeconomics. A lot of students aren't interested in that subject. So we do have a push, and we try to recruit actively every year to get students to come in. And if I could share my screen, I was going to talk about, yeah.
You should be able to now.
Okay, thank you. This is actually AP Central. It's a part of College Board. If you guys can see my screen right now, this is my actual, where I log in. And the website has changed very much over the past few years, but it's actually turning into a one-stop shop. So a student in my AP macroeconomics class would come into AP Central, they would log in, and they would actually see assignments. All of any type of information, notes, we could give exams through the software, which is very important, and everything is housed in one area. But aside from the actual class work and what it takes to be successful in one of these classes, I also wanted to talk about the access that Mr. Griffin talked about earlier, providing access. So some of our students, even though they take the SAT, they find that when they go to college, they have to take an AccuPlace. And our students who end up at tech schools, Columbus Technical College and others, they also use the AccuPlace. And now this is actually, the College Board has kind of created a resource for that exam. So I know we were talking about some of the standardized tests, but AccuPlacer is another one that a lot of people don't really realize. You know, we've put a lot of focus on the SAT and the ACT, but the AccuPlacer determines what type of classes they take and their remediation. So if a student is not well versed, let's say not even AP, a student that didn't take any AP classes in school and they decide that they want to go to college and they come up against the AccuPlacer, the College Board now has an area where students can prepare for that test and possibly save some money by skipping up those remedial classes that they may have to take when they do get to college. So for me, teaching AP is about, of course, it's about the work and challenging our students to do better and be successful, but it's also about that access. So even our students who aren't taking AP can benefit from AP Central. And I try to use this not just with my AP students, but with all of my classes, because we're also big on trying to push our students for the FAFSA. And there's a lot of information in here on that as well. So teaching AP for me personally has been about providing access to those students, not only challenging them, you know, about the coursework, but also providing that access to that information that's the most important thing that they need.
Mr. Guest, what trends have you seen in terms of gender? Who populates your class, or if you know of any other classes, is it dominated by males or females? Could you explain that to us?
Yes, sir. It's mostly, from my experience, it's a pretty good mix, but it definitely leans towards female. And I think we all understand the demographics at Spencer High School. So we are pretty much, you know, historically the first Black high school in Columbus, and we that demographic has stayed with our school. So providing that access to students who don't have it. And what I've found is that our students aren't necessarily scared or intimidated by the work. It's about the debt and all the horror stories they hear about how much debt people leave accumulate in college. And of course, those horror stories about people who have college degrees and now they're working at McDonald's or, you know, Walmart for minimum wage. So I think those horror stories that our students hear kind of determine them and keep them from even trying to embrace or think about college. They automatically shut it out because they feel that that debt is too much and they don't want to start their life off with that debt. But I always try to encourage our students that the way our economy is set up is that we all have some type of debt. And the debt that you pick up from investing in yourself is going to be better debt than any other type, buying a house or anything. The debt that you get from investing in yourself is going to be the best type of debt that you can have. So I try to encourage our students not to worry about the financial aspect of it, but that's one of the biggest concerns I've seen from our students is the financial aspect. And that kind of motivates them to not even, you know, try, because they've kind of already made their mind up that they don't have access to the funds. And that's why I always try to bring in FAFSA as well. And that's a part of College Board. So our students who are in AP classes, they have access to all of this. It's a one-stop shop. But our students who aren't taking AP classes, they're the ones that can kind of fall through the cracks, especially when it comes to FAFSA and some of the opportunities that are out there for them.
Yeah, so it's a cultural thing, because I know, you know, leaving Spencer 7 years ago, I'm here to brag, and you know, we have Miss Curry Gaines here. We were a College Board AP honor school, and we were, you know, we're the furthest school in the district. We were the hood school, and it was only 3 AP honor schools for you know, my last 3 years there. It was Columbus High, it was Northside, and Spencer High School. So, but I think it's an issue of culture. It's also an issue of recruitment to pull as many kids in these classes as you can. I think when we left, we had 250 to 80 kids, 280 kids in advanced placement. That's big when you don't have 700-800 kids. So it is an issue of recruitment, retention, and also, just like you said, showing the benefits of these classes to not only the kids who are in AP, but the kids who need to be in AP class.
Yes, and what you said is vital and crucial. Recruitment. We try our best to recruit, but like you said, in order to stand out and actually make a difference, you have to put a concerned effort into bringing students into this program, because it's not always about, you know, the students are always focused on the work. My focus is access and showing them what they can do. Of course, they're going to start off bad. You know, they're going to make some bad grades, but that's how you learn. And without that access, our students get left out in the cold. And we as educators, like you said, we have to recruit and push our students to take these classes, not just for the challenge of scoring high on the test, but also to get access to these opportunities that are there and available for a lot of students, but a lot of ours kind of fall through those cracks.
And just for some housekeeping, guys, if you have any questions, please leave your questions in the chat, and we'll get to the chat and we'll address those questions for any of our presenters today. Okay. Also, so you're right.
I'll just kind of end up in mind, you know, like I said, AP Central and College Board is not just for AP students. We should definitely encourage more of our students to access when it comes to FAFSA. There, if you scroll down at the bottom here, you got SAT, PSAT, just a lot. The College Board has grown since I started teaching AP to now. it's really is a one-stop shop. The students can do their assignments in the class and also work on their financial aid, college searches, and also their AccuPlacer, which is, to me, that's a big thing because, you know, a student may go in doing well on the SAT and then they take the AccuPlacer and find out that they have to take a remedial class that, you know, financial aid is not going to pay for. And that becomes a bigger financial issue for the student who's trying to advance and better themselves.
Well, I do appreciate you, Mr. Guest. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Guest at this time?
Mr. Guest, we do have some people who've never heard of the AccuPlacer test before. Can you just go over that a little bit more again? Is that something an individual would take after they have gotten accepted into college, or can they take that like a prior to applying to colleges? At what point do they take that? And is it automatic once they get to college, or does an individual have to choose to take that?
Yes, ma'am. Excellent questions. I am going to, because I kind of looked around for that a little bit. I don't know if my screen switched, but I pulled up Columbus Technical College, and I'm alumni. I went to Columbus Tech, and they do the AccuPlacer. And this is on every student that comes in. I kind of did a search for CSU, and they do have an AccuPlacer test. But when you look at eligibility here, it says it can be required or recommended. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I'm not positive about what set off a requirement for the AccuPlacer. But I know Columbus State uses it, Columbus Tech uses it, and if they're using it, that means that, you know, the university system and the technical college system of Georgia are pretty much using it. So any school, but as far as the specifics on when you have to take it, it's going to be after you're accepted into that university or college. It's right before you start to take your classes and they set the schedule. So it can be a little tricky. Some schools is required and some is just recommended. And as far as what triggers that, I'm not positive on. Someone else may be able to help with that question.
And do you know if the AccuPlacer, is it just for university college systems in
I'm glad
Georgia,
you did mention Columbus Tech, because you know, many of our kids, you know, 4 years seems daunting, but you know, everybody didn't have to go to Columbus Tech to be, a 4-year university to be successful. And so there are multiple pathways to success. So
exactly. And I recommend this. And like I said, the AccuPlacer, having access to practice for that exam.
I think we can't hear you, Mr. Guest. Can anybody hear Mr. Guest? Okay.
And having access to the AccuPlacer, you know, practice to that exam is going to be big, because like I said, that's the difference, because some students, I myself had to take remedial math classes when I actually went to Columbus Tech. And what happens is your financial aid is not going to pay for those remedial classes or remediation, but it's still something that you have to take. It's a prerequisite before you could take that entry-level class. So having access to practice for that exam is huge in my book, because we do have a lot of students who aren't really set on that 4-year university and want to try something like Columbus Technical College, and the College Board or AP Central is going to be able to help them with that AccuPlacer, with that practice that they can get on the AccuPlacer. Because on this test, you could practice, you could kind of sign up. It's going to get you to understand your scores, to understand the test in general. So I think this is an excellent resource that all of our students should have access to.
And lastly, Mr. Guest, do you know, is this just in Georgia, the AccuPlacer?
No, and excellent question. From what I understand, it's nationwide, and it's also, from what I've read about it, it's also big in law enforcement.
Okay.
So law enforcement candidates also take the AccuPlacer as well. So this is something that's nationwide. It's not necessarily just in our state. It's pretty much nationwide. So wherever our students go, they are definitely going to see an AccuPlacer, and it might be the difference between, you know, $10,000 on a couple of remediation classes.
Mm-hmm. And I believe Dr. Abdullah said that it's usually your ACT or SAT scores that would trigger whether or not you would be a candidate to take the AccuPlacer.
And my personal experience, because I didn't go to college fresh out of high school, I actually went and served the Navy for a few years and then came back. But as an adult, when I came back to school, I was considered an adult learner, and the SAT and the PSAT weren't as important as the AccuPlacer.
Well, Mr. Guest, we do appreciate you so much. Are there any more questions for Mr. Guest? All right, thank you so much, sir. Next, we're going to have Lieutenant Colonel Roy Bolar. Mr. Bolar is a retired military officer who's earned multiple Brown Stars in service to the United States of America. He is from Ohio and a Georgia Bulldog fan. This is his second year at Columbus High School, where he is a master teacher in the JROTC program. I've known Mr. Bolar for years, but Mr. Bolar, again, welcome. Thank you for coming to the Supper Club. I want to ask you a couple of questions regarding, well, I'll tell you what, please explain JROTC as well as the ASVAB test.
He's saying that it's saying the guest has to unmute.
He's good.
All right. Looks like they gave me permission now. All right, hey guys, thanks so much for having me. And like every other class I've ever been in, I'm the dumb guy on the screen. I greatly appreciate opportunity to talk about JROTC and the ASVAB. So let me first of all clear up JROTC, and Mr. Guest, thank you for your service as well, serving in the Navy. We wear uniforms. We're all retired. All of the instructors are retired military, but we couldn't give two hoots what those kids do after they leave high school. Well, we care what they do, but we don't care if they join the military. What JROTC is, and as long as I'm teaching it there at Columbus High School, it is a leadership course. It is a course to show a young man or a young lady about accountability, about some life planning skills, and there's no other course in high school where as a sophomore, they're already put in charge of other peers. I think that's somewhere there is a skill that's been lost on how to tell your peer that, hey, your name tag is on incorrectly. Your tie needs to be straightened. You need to shave today. And to do that respectfully and with dignity and not in any way a hazing manner or anything like that. Again, to sum up JROTC, it's about making a person who's ready to take on life, whatever that life is going to be. That's what our focus is. And we make them plan. We make them figure out, and by the time they're seniors, they're generally on their way. They have a plan because throughout the curriculum, we start with them as a freshman. And
I think he's frozen.
Mm-hmm. He's frozen. Don't know if you can hear us, but you are frozen.
We've got to help Columbus High School out with their technology because it's been happening for a second here. What we're going to do is we're going to come back to Mr. Bolar. Lieutenant Colonel Bolar. And we're going to proceed with Ms. Shantis Curry. Ms. Curry is a long-time counselor in the Muskogee County School District. She started out at William Henry Spencer High School with myself. The last couple of years, she has been a graduation coach in the Muskogee County School District. And let me see if Mr. Bolar, you back? Trying to get back? Are you back?
I am back.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm sitting right next to, I am sitting right next to the Wi-Fi, but something dumped me off. I apologize. All right, I don't know where you guys ended at, but again, just to sum up JROTC, it's about life planning, being.
Okay. All right, Ms. Curry, Ms. Curry gang. We are still having technical difficulties. Okay, gotcha. All right, Ms. Curry Gaines, again, she is was a long time counselor. She her last position was a graduation coach in the district, and we were blessed to recruit her back at a school, the Marshall Success Center, where she currently is a counselor. Ms. Curry Gaines, would you talk about your experiences with all of this, AP testing? Would you talk about your experience with high-end courses and the likes as well?
Okay.
Hold on. Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Bolar is back again. So let's see if we can get him going this time.
And I'm sorry, like I said, I moved right next to the Wi-Fi. I'm not sure where the issue is, but it's probably me, almost definitely.
Well, Lieutenant Colonel, let me ask you a couple of questions before you cut off again. Okay. The main thing, how does JROTC and the ASVAB test, how do they help a student when they're going straight to the military from high school?
All right, great question. First of all, the ASVAB and JROTC are nowhere linked. There's nothing that they have to do in JROTC. I encourage all my juniors to take the ASVAB for a couple reasons. One, it smells like, it looks like, it acts like a SAT. It's a 3-hour standardized test. It is a great practice for that SAT, ACT that they are going to take. On top of that, it's free. And if you don't like free, you don't like me. It is absolutely the right thing to do to make those juniors take that ASVAB. So what does it mean to do well on that ASVAB? The ASVAB, if you do well on the ASVAB, studies have shown you are likely to do well on the SAT and the ACT. Again, I think there's a perception out there that the ASVAB is about digging foxholes and firing weapons. Nothing like that. Let me give you some of the sections on the ASVAB. The sections on the ASVAB are arithmetic reasoning, mathematics knowledge, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension. The additional sections are general science, auto and shop information, mechanical comprehension, electronics information. So you want to do well in the ASVAB? Do well at school. That's the first thing that I tell all of my kids. You want to do well in the ASVAB, do great your first 2 years of school. Then that junior year, go out and invest. And I just went and looked on Amazon what this year's cost. There is an ASVAB study guide. I found it on Amazon for $14.99. Again, I like what Mr. Guest said. If you're not willing to invest $14.99 in yourself, I can't help you. $14.99. That's a dinner at McDonald's now. Go and invest in yourself. A lot of those things can also be found online. And before I get kicked off again, I'll send you guys some of the websites that we tell kids to use to prepare for it. And then just like any other exam, you got to find the time to study. Prepare for it, just like you prepare for the ACT, SAT. Doing well on the if you're going into the military, the better you score on that ASVAB, opens you up to the better opportunity jobs, to include large bonuses. I like to use my son as an example. He wasn't an incredibly bright kid. Unfortunately, he probably got more of me than his mom than he should have, but he scored fairly well on the ASVAB. He got something close to a $40,000 bonus. Do you know what $40,000 is to an 18, 19-year-old kid? And he was pretty smart in the military. He did 3 years in the military. He gets out and he buys his own house, and he's right now a junior at Columbus State doing the cybersecurity program. But that Army ASVAB, or that ASVAB set him up for that because he scored well on the ASVAB. So what's generally scoring well? Over a 50 is what a young person is looking to score. The Army will typically enlist folks with around a 30 or a 31. It goes up depending on how many people they need and how many people they're trying to recruit. But generally a 50 will qualify them for those higher level jobs, those jobs that will lead to better jobs on the outside in the civilian world. So that's the key, score well there. But let's say a kid is not interested in joining the military. Why should they take the ASVAB? I'll go back to what I said before. It smells like, looks like, tastes like an SAT. So it's a great practice and it's free. But what the ASVAB really is an aptitude test. It tells you what you might be good at. And again, 17, 18-year-old kids, they might not know what they really want to do yet. The ASVAB will actually tell them what it is you're good at. Hey, you know, you're actually pretty good at mathematics, or you're actually pretty good at general automotive technology. You might want to start thinking and steering that way. So a kid who you know, maybe they're overweight, they have no interest in going in the military, don't discourage them from taking the ASVAB. Go take that ASVAB and see what you're interested in. And it will tell you, and it's a great indicator of how well we'll do on the SAT, ACT as well. So I hope that answered your question.
One more question, and again, it did. Thank you for being thorough with it. Could you explain students going to college and then to the military?
Well, you're looking at one. There is. Well, I did it kind of backwards. I was kind of like Mr. Guest. Right out of high school, I joined, went into the military, took that GI Bill. And my dad was I was in Southern Ohio. My dad was a miner. My mom was a nurse's aide, both of them with about a 10th grade education. Still kind of fuzzy exactly where Dad did drop out at. But anyway, I had no really college aspirations when I left high school. I was okay in high school, but again, I didn't have really anyone telling me money put away. So going into the military first allowed me to get that GI Bill and then go to school. And then I took an ROTC scholarship on while I was at school as well. So came out, no debt. Again, Mr. Guest nailed it. So critical and put us on the right foot right away. But your question was about a kid going to college first. And there's a number of ways that you can get into the military from college. One, you go into college and take one of their ROTC classes. Almost every
Ooh, I hate it keeps freezing. He's providing a lot of great information.
Yeah, it kind of freezes when he gets deep into the. Let's give him one more second.
Here.
Okay, he's back.
Okay. I'll try to sum it up. Go in and take an ROTC class. If you like it, that group can offer you a scholarship. Every ROTC professor of military science has 3-year scholarships that he can give to. You can join up and become an officer. Or you can get that college degree, don't do anything in ROTC, and enlist with that college degree. You go in, yep, you'll go in at a little bit higher of a rank, but you're still an enlisted member. But you'll go in with a college degree, which will open up a lot of doors for a lot of enlisted folks, which potentially could put you into OCS later on, officer candidate school, or something like that. Or just stay in. We need enlisted people with bachelor degrees. That's a good thing. And we have seen more and more of that in the military, and we do need them.
All right, are there any questions for Lieutenant Colonel Bolar?
Nope, just some comments that you've got some Ohio hometown people here. And someone said that they did Army ROTC in high school and had a great experience.
Okay.
So they're for that.
All right. Well, Lieutenant Colonel, thank you so much. Go ahead. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
I'll add in the chat some of those websites that we recommend. I'll just so everybody's on board. Some of them will key those kids into recruiters. If they take the practice, test and do well, the phone's probably going to get hot real quick. So you know, kids just need to know that. But again, no means no until you mean yes. So you can tell that recruiter whatever you want to tell him. If you're interested, tell him you're interested, or you're weighing your options. I would also, even if the kid is not in JROTC, I talk to a lot of kids who are not in JROTC who are talking to recruiters. Come talk to me. Before we sign anything, come talk to me. My door is always open for any student who is not in JROTC. And all of my JROTC students know that I want to hear the deal before we do the deal. So what is it that you're going to, what are they telling you you're going to do? What really is the MOS? The MOS in the Army is that's the job that they're giving you. What do you want to do? What they're offering you to do? There's a lot of times they'll say, hey, oh, you want to be a police? Oh, well, you know, go in and be infantry. That's kind of like police. Sort of, yes, you both carry guns, and that's about where it stops. So you got to be careful like that. And we try to give them the plain truth. Anyway, I'll shut up and I'll put in those websites.
Thank you for providing that information in the chat for us. I'm also transferring that to the Facebook Live that we have. We have some viewers there with some comments and questions. And so anything you put in the chat, I'm transferring there.
Yes, ma'am, will do.
Awesome. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Bolar.
Also in the chat.
Chances Curry Gaines, would you sum all of this up from a high school perspective, excuse me, from a counseling perspective? Just 1 second.
Okay, there I am. Again, I am Chances Curry Gaines. I started out as a counselor under Mr. Griffin, and I had the opportunity to work as a counselor under him. And I loved how he brought in the AP courses, the honors courses, just showing the students that there's an option. Because what happens is there's a myth out there that you have to be the smartest student to participate in AP courses. You have to have good grades. Parents are scared that, you know, the courses will hurt their students' GPA. It's too stressful. You don't know if you'll get the high score on the test. But I found that motivating those students, we used to have a roundup. And so we gave them the opportunities to see what AP courses could look like for them. We encouraged them to pick classes that were of interest to them. I feel that AP courses are important, especially to our young kids today, because going into college is so much they don't know. They're not going to be prepared. And I feel like AP courses prepare those students for everything that's going on right now. I had some information. It's saying more than 90% of four-year colleges in the United States and more than 60 other countries give students credit for those AP courses that you take in high school. The AP courses boost your GPA. when you're applying for the Hope Scholarship, you currently have to have rigor. You have to have some honor classes. You have to have AP courses in order to even be considered for those scholarships. We also have programs such as dual enrollment that are available to our students. It's so much out there for these students to get and learn, but we have to get parents involved. We have to make sure the information is provided to the students, because a lot of students at some of our schools, as working as a graduation coach, I work for several schools. And I saw that at certain schools, it was a must that you participate in AP courses. You participate in dual enrollment classes, but then I go to other schools and that's not even an option. They're pushing students, mainly to tech schools, which is fine. That's not a problem, but also encourage the students to participate in some of these AP courses. I think the problem is a lot of our students are fearful of failure and what might happen if they take those courses. But AP courses provide numerous benefits when going to college. I think it was over the past 10 years, the increase in Georgia students benefiting from AP courses being offered in high schools has been dramatic. In 2018 and 2019, over 117,000 Georgia public high school students enrolled in AP courses. In 2019, 151,000 AP exams were completed. And speaking on the AP exams, if you score a 3 or above, then you're going to earn college credits. How can you, argue with that? That's something that I wish I had when I was in school, when I was younger. It's so much out there for these students in 2021. And I just wish that so many more would take advantage of that.
And what I've seen with the courses, having a child that just graduated from UGA, some colleges will not take those courses, believe it or not. But you will not get into those colleges if you do not take those courses. So they may not give you the credit for the test, passing the test, but you're not going to see the light of that school unless you have that type of rigor before you apply.
Correct.
Are there any questions for Ms. Curry?
There were some questions about AP. Someone asked about if the cost for it, and Mr. Guest put in a link for a waiver for that. So check that out. And also a question is, how do you address the challenge of aligning AP class requirements and tailoring the class to the student's interest?
Well, for me, Mr. Griffin, yeah.
I remember when we were at Spencer, we had the AP roundup, and the first thing we did, we looked at PSAT scores, and we looked at other scores such as I think it was called the Georgia High School Graduation Test when we were there. So we would match those kids up, based on GPA and those test scores. That was the first group. We made it huge. I mean, we had a tremendous day, huge, invited parents, the news, everything. Then the next step was we had a course recruitment day for AP. And so the kids got to see the classes that they were interested in. The next and that was also related to teacher recommendation. So you would have a C kid, but this kid really could excel in a class that he or she really wanted to be in. The last group were kids that wanted to get an AP class. So we opened that door up for them too. Now the caveat to all three groups was you're not getting out. Once you get in, we made them sign a contract. You are in this to win it. And so we didn't want to have kids get in and quit because they didn't want to do work. I think out of 7 years there, I had one kid that tried that. So we had a successful time with that. But also our teachers were very successful doing that. So we wanted to match those kids up with what their interests were. I think we had 14 or 15 AP classes when we were there, Ms. Curry. And so that made it easier for kids to pick and choose some things that they were interested in. I hope that answered the question. In other words, schools have to make it interesting for kids to get in these classes. And you have to have the staff to push those kids, embrace those kids, and get them over that hump as well.
It was something we were very excited about. even the kids would be excited about it. The way we set it up is, you know, like a career fair. The kids were able to go around and see what they might be interested in. Let's say they loved art. You know, there is plenty of displays about art. So just finding the students' interest, finding what they like, and then tailoring your AP classes based on that. And it works. Yep. It's amazing because the kids, some of those kids have never even heard of the AP courses.
And people dressed up as cowboys and cowgirls. It was an AP roundup. And so that was our theme: cowboy boots and big hats. And so we put a lot of emphasis in it, and it paid off for years and years and years. Are there any more questions?
Mr. Griffin, I wanted to speak as from the parent perspective. I had 2 children that went through the same AP teacher at different times, and you know, the first 2 weeks they came and wanted to drop, and Christine's going like this because she was at the same school. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I told the kids, I said, you have to stick it through. You committed to this, and he knows exactly what he's doing, and he will make you a better person for it. It spoke even beyond curriculum and academics. It was complete work ethic and how to be able to just argue for yourself and be an advocate for yourself. And they are, I believe they are better humans for it.
And I just wanted to add, it's never too early to start talking to your kids about AP courses.
Yep. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm working 2 machines because for whatever reason, my laptop doesn't let the camera show if I unhook it from work. I wonder what that's about. But so I will amen everything they're saying. I know I'm not here to talk about AP. I can talk about it. But I will say that there is a report now that the College Board can run for you, and your AP coordinators at the schools can do this report. The report will pull their PSAT scores, and it will show the administrators, the AP coordinators, the counselors, what the students, which specific AP courses the students will show proclivity for success in those courses. And those letters can be generated to parents to say, hey, your child might be really successful in human geography. And you're like, I don't even know what human geography is, but okay. You know, so I think we should take advantage of those things. Parents, if there are parents listening, ask about it. It is free. It is attached to their PSAT score. I put a comment in the chat earlier about linking the College Board account with Khan Academy, because again, it's a simple process. It gives the students immediate personalized tutoring based on their scores from the PSAT, which we give in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. So they can do this at any time. We really ask and push for, and I don't even work at a primarily AP school anymore. And I'm still a huge advocate for that, just because it's good for kids, right? It's good for them to see I could be successful in something that maybe I didn't know I could. And it really is life-worthy learning. So I'm a champion for all of these advanced programs, and I can include some links or some helpful hints about how to access those services, because they're entirely free, and a lot of parents don't know that they're out there. So again, it's the letter, the linking to their PSAT score, and the Khan Academy link that's really important. And that's
exactly what we did at Spencer. That's exactly what we did at Spencer to the team. And that was how we populated so many kids so fast, because we knew. Yeah.
And it's really good too for showing to the district that you have a need for a specific type of teacher. It can help fill allotments for teachers who are well versed in those specific areas. So we like to advocate for that tool. We want parents to know that it's out there, because then they can request it, because so many times that it kind of goes under the radar. So I just wanted to make sure that we all remember that there are those free services out there provided by the College Board as support for the students and the parents who may not know that they have access to these things.
Okay.
Also, Maria, absolutely. Like, I was there. Your children are amazing, and that those AP classes and that AP teacher certainly helped.
Ms. Curry Gaines, do you have any questions for Ms. Curry Gaines? All right, well, thank you very much. Next, we have actually Principal Christine Hull. This is a little bit different because she's been a long-time educator, long-time leader in the Muskogee County School District, and she served in a variety of schools. So she has a lot of experience with AP, but today, I actually want her to talk about IB, the International Baccalaureate Program. And so we have her here today. So if you don't mind, just jump right on into it and help us understand that. Many of us have not done it before. And so give us the benefits, how it's different from AP and the like. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a great opportunity to share. And funny that you say that not many of you know about it, because neither do I. So I am learning as I go. So I'll give you a little bit of a background, very short history. I was at an all AP high school for a very long time. I was the AP coordinator, AP champion, been to many College Board trainings. And so I was very much on the AP train, and I still am, still a lover. Okay. So I say all of this to know that there's just different kicks for different kids, right? So some things are and for different schools and for different environments. So my previous job, I was the director of advanced learning and gifted programs for the district, which my charge was dual enrollment, AP, IB, magnet programs, and gifted, and make them all successful and make them all grow. So sometimes we see them as in a fight, right? So our AP kids, sometimes they go on to dual enrollment and AP sees that as a threat. Sometimes they go to IB, and AP and IB, they're not exactly the same, and people see that as a threat. Or, you know, IB kids go on and matriculate to dual enrollment, and that's a threat because it threatens our program. And I'm here to say I've been in all of those arenas, and nothing's a threat. It's all about what's good for kids, right? It's not necessarily about the programming. It's about what's right for kids and what's right for that particular school environment. So I'm a champion of all of these advanced programs because at the end of the day, we want our children to be successful at the highest levels they can possibly be successful for what fits them. And that's why I said in the chat earlier, I champion JROTC. I mean, these programs are just flat out good for students, good to teach them life-worthy skills, what they need to do to succeed. So the long and short of it is I came onto the IB train during my time as the director of advanced learning. And I was supposed to be trained in IP because I was supposed to support our IB schools. So we have 3 IB schools in our district. We have a primary years program at Clubview Elementary, which my son currently attends the primary years program. He's 5. So I have a really interesting range. So I've got a 5-year-old in a primary IB program. And then I serve as the principal at Hardaway High School, which is an IB World School. So I see them all the way through their senior year. So it's an interesting perspective, right? So what is this whole thing called International Baccalaureate? We've also got Richards Middle School that is our IB middle school. It has the IB magnet. And so I had a lot of questions as a parent, as an administrator walking into a school that I did not necessarily know what IB was, and I'm trained AP background. So tell me the difference. The best way I can explain the difference between AP and IB is that AP is very discrete. It is AP biology, right? AP computer science. Those are courses that are very specifically tailored to that curriculum and that course. And AP is very strong in providing supports for those specific courses. IB, the history of IB is that it was developed by a group of diplomats who were traveling with their families across the world for whatever reason, be it military, be it diplomacy. They were stationed, traveling, commissioned to other countries. And what they wanted was to take the best that they saw around the world, not just the United States, the best education they could possibly garner into one bucket, put it all together, and provide for their internationally traveling children to have the best education they could wherever they went in the world. And for when they graduated from high school, if they graduate with an IB diploma, for that to translate internationally. College Board and AP is national. It is a national program that does not span past the US. AP is much more recognizable to United States citizens. It's much more understandable. There's a lot more education and training and background that you can really hold on to, right? IB is a little more comprehensive. So instead of having a discrete subject, what you have is an interconnectedness, and that's the whole idea. So I understand that what I'm learning in math connects with what I'm learning in English, connects with what I'm learning in social studies, connects what I'm doing with JROTC or marketing or PE. It all there. We try to teach children to make connections between the subjects, right? So that's one component. Like nothing that we learn happens in a vacuum. It's all connected. They really operate under the principles of conceptual learning. And how do I take a concept such as relationships? I'm just use that one as an example. Relationships is the concept. I can start a kid out understanding relationships by talking about their boyfriends and girlfriends or their friendships. We're going to start with this basic concept, or their parents, right? You have a relationship with people in your life. So let's start with that basic concept. Now let's use that as an anchor to get you into the academic work. So let's talk about relationships in math. How do relationships work in math? How do relationships work in science? Chemical relationships, physical relationships. You know, how do relationships work in English with character development? So you're taking a concept that immediately latches kids in. I get that. I understand that from my perspective as a teenager or a middle schooler or a 5-year-old, right? Like my son right now is learning about wants and needs. It's part of his IB curriculum. He's 5 years old and they're teaching him about wants and needs, right? What's the difference between a want and a need, right? It's a basic concept, but it translates across the academic curriculum. So now let's talk about that with economics. What's the difference between supply and demand? It relates to want and need. Okay. So we teach children in IB how to relate concepts that they understand as humans. I get this as a human being. Now I'm going to take this concept and I'm going to use it in my academic pursuits to latch onto. It gives the kids sort of an anchor, right? That I understand the concept and now I can apply this concept across multiple areas, which is why it works internationally, because we're all human, no matter where we come from. No matter what backgrounds we come from, we all have some basic understandings. And that's the cornerstone of IB. We are humans, no matter where we come from, no matter our background. And that's why it works for Hardaway High School, because we are a school that is a very interesting mix of backgrounds and cultures and areas geographically, historically. So a lot of our kids really understand that. The other component of IB that's very different from AP is that there is a service component. So we have at the high school level what is called CAS, C-A-S. It's creativity, activity, and service. By the time they get an IB diploma, they will have put together a portfolio, a CAS portfolio of their creative ideas and endeavors, their activities, which could include sports, extracurricular, whatever they would consider an activity that is not a classroom activity. Okay. And service. What have you done to serve your fellow man? And they have to spend a considerable amount of hours that must in some way be collaborative. So the IB also really, really pushes collaborative effort. And that's different from cooperative, right? So we talk about what that means. How do you collaborate with others? Because that's what the real world looks like. You don't do your life in a vacuum. Right? There's always going to be people you have to deal with. So how do you do that? We also teach what are called ATL skills, which is approaches to teaching and learning. And there's like 100 plus of these skills. And so we try to teach kids, how do you stand up for yourself? How do you advocate for yourself appropriately and with the right vocabulary, depending on your situation? It's a little bit like teaching code switching. Okay, so there's a list of over 120 skills that we infuse into the curriculum intentionally to teach students how to note take, how to advocate, how to communicate. All of these skills are built into the lessons. And students grapple with these through the first couple of years of IB in high school. So the primary years program is all inclusive. Everybody in the primary years program is an IB student. It's not a magnet program, okay? Middle school, that the middle years program is also inclusive. When they get to high school, because it's international, it works on a 6th, 7th, 8th grade plus 9 and 10. So it's a 5-year middle years program. And they really concentrate on developing that human in the middle years. When they get to high school, by the time they hit 11th grade, they have a choice. So they can discontinue an IB for what we call the career program or the diploma program. Those are optional. So they could have a really good, sturdy, strong foundation in an all-inclusive middle years program. And then if they choose, which we really advocate for all of our students to try to choose a path. So it might not be a 4-year university. It might not be a technical college. It really could be a career-related diploma. So we're trying to give our students options. And in that career program and in that diploma program, then the rigor notches up as you go. There are exams at the end of the career program and the diploma program that are internationally rigorous. So it's not just national standards or state standards, they're international standards. So to prepare a student to get to that level, it takes a lot of community involvement, educator involvement, parental involvement, and the kid really has to invest. So we try to provide summer opportunities, volunteer opportunities, so that the students can really see the buffet. I mean, somebody said it earlier, and I can't remember who it was. Someone said earlier, you know, I wish this was all out here when I was a kid. Like, they don't understand how many options they have. And IB really tries to open those doors for them. So I've given you like a really down and dirty, I know that was a lot of talking, but I have a link I can put in the chat to Hardaway's IB, What Is It page. And it's not just about Hardaway. It tells you more about the IB program, the primary years program, middle years program, the career and the diploma programs. There's just a lot of good information on there. There's some information too from alumni who have since gone on to NASA, city council, many other areas of civic service, military. So I'm going to put that link in the chat, and it's Hardaway's page, but it really is more about what IB actually is. So I will take any questions because I've been talking for a while. So
how do you maintain diversity in your program?
So the program itself, I think, automatically lends itself to diversity, but it also is intentional. So Hardaway's philosophy, and I can only speak from our philosophy, but I think that our philosophy does mirror the International Baccalaureate philosophy about equity and diversity. Our entrance exam, it is that if it were up to me, we would get rid of it. I think it's much more about a conversation and a dedication and a want to, a motivation than it is about a test score. So we do take into account PSAT scores, but it's not the be all and end all. We do take into account achievement scores, such as GMAS. It's not the be all and end all. If we have a student who is highly motivated or just expresses interest, a lot of times we pull students in who are already in our school who are not considered IB students, but we see potential in them in some area. Like, hey, you know what? You seem to be really successful in math. Maybe not so successful in English. Your writing needs a little help, but this math stuff, you kind of get it. So let's give you an IB class. And so unlike AP, and at the end of every AP course, there's an exam. That's not true for IB. The only exams, the high level, sort of high stakes exams, are not until the CP and DP program. We have a lot of options for IB courses that are inclusive. It's like, try it on. We see some success. We see where you are, you're showing a lot of potential and interest, and we want to bring you in. And we intentionally look for that. So and for us, it's not just about race or culture or background. A lot of it for us too is poverty. So we serve a lot of students in poverty, and that is a conversation that's much deeper than tonight, but they may not know these opportunities are out there. So a lot of what we do is about access. Look, these are the things that we are trying to show you. Every student in the 9th and 10th grade at Hardaway High School is an IB student, everyone. No entrance exam, no questions. We are going to give you the same quality curriculum. We're going to teach you IB standards, approaches to teaching and learning skills. We're going to give you these experiences, and you don't have to do anything but show up. Right?
That's good.
So that gives us some really good information. So in that way, we really try to open the doors, and then we try to steer kids. So that has really helped us with equity and access and diversity. The majority of our students are Black, African-American, Latino, Hispanic. And we appreciate and applaud that. But it's not like we are blind to the needs of communities, because IB intentionally builds that into the program. Mm-hmm. And it's been really great to see. And we continue to strive to do better. So one of the reasons I really appreciate being able to come tonight and talk to you guys, because the more we can get the message across that this is not something to be afraid of. Somebody said this earlier, I think, Reggie, I think you said it earlier. This is not something to be intimidated by or afraid of. This is an opportunity to try it, to take some risks, academic risks, to social risk. A lot of our kids, if you make good grades, you're not cool. If you're making the rest of us look bad because you made an A on that test. And now we're going to pick on you. So changing that conversation, turning around that Titanic, that's part of the IB culture. That no, it is cool to succeed. It is dope to make A's, right? Like they are starting to figure that out. And it takes a lot of years, and it takes a lot of hard work, but it also takes the courageous conversations to just call it what it is. And to tell them, you know, you're only hurting yourself, and we're providing this opportunity. And a lot of it is parental conversations, having conversations with parents to say, hey, you might not know that this is out here, but this is out here. And we want your child to have access to it. I don't know if that answered your question, but.
It did, and very, very well. So
did he freeze?
He did.
I mean, I have a better perspective. Can you guys hear me?
You keep freezing.
Okay, I'm freezing. All right. Well, I think Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Bolar kind of spread that. Thank you, Principal Hull. Next, we're going to have Dr. Shakir Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How you doing? Oh, let me get you off the mute. I'm sorry.
All right. Wa alaikum salam. Good to see you, Aki.
Well, let me introduce you very quickly.
Absolutely.
Doctor is a vice president and a longtime educator. He's been in higher learning forever, to include at Columbus State University. Currently, he is a VP at Clayton State University. He's doing an excellent job up there. Native of Ohio. Got two of you guys in here. He's married to my cousin. I found out recently, daughter, the legendary Wallace Davis. And but before I know I'm rushing you through. He's done a tremendous amount of work here in Columbus too. He's been a benefit. But before you get started, please tell us about your book first, and then
Absolutely.
sum all this up.
Yeah.
Because we started in the classroom.
Yes.
So we're all the way in higher ed right now. So sum all this up. What do you guys want? What do you guys need and desire from students coming to higher ed?
Absolutely. So, Brother Reggie, thank you for the invitation, and really thank you for everybody on this panel. I've learned a lot. I've appreciated hearing about the work you're doing, and the students who are going to hear from you, the parents who are going to listen, are greatly going to benefit and really be in position to be successful. The book that Reggie mentioned is a book that I published actually in 2012. It's called A Baptism by Fire. It was an investigation of the multicultural competence of diversity services staff in higher ed. So my background in higher education is in diversity and inclusion. I started out in admissions many years ago, and from admissions, I moved into the diversity and inclusion space. I got my bachelor's degree from Wittenberg University in Springfield, Ohio. One of the first jobs I had was working in admissions at Wittenberg. My master's is from the Ohio State University, and all this go blue slander needs to get out of the chat, but it's okay. Absolutely, had great experience at Ohio State. My master's was in higher education and student affairs, but I had a work study or I had a graduate assistantship in the Multicultural Center. And so a lot of my understanding of multiculturalism, diversity and inclusion really started to emerge from my time at Ohio State and really from my lived experiences as well. And so you see in my background, I have my company, Practical Diversity Associates. It's a consulting company, a diversity and inclusion consulting company. And, really what I do is I try to make sure that folks understand how to work with folks who are different from them and also folks who are similar to them. And when we talk about multicultural competence, that is that the knowledge, skills, and awareness to work with folks who are different from you, but also to work with folks who are similar to you to address issues of diversity and inclusion and really to move the needle on the work that we're doing. So when I hear about what's happening, and making sure that all students have access to IB courses and things like that. I mean, that's the kind of work that we need to do. That's the way we have to do it. Make sure that everybody has access and make sure barriers to access are removed. And all of the things that you all talked about today. I mean, we talk about some of the AP courses from Mr. Guest and the work that's happening there. Obviously, we learn about the JROTC and some of the things that are happening in that space, and then just the whole process of making sure that students are ready and know about all their options from a counseling perspective. All of those things come together to really make sure that students have the best opportunity to succeed. It's not one thing, it is all of these things collectively. It is really, really critical for us to understand that it is an all hands on deck approach that is going to help our students. We have got to break down some of these attitudes of what success looks like. I grew up in the 90s, and there was a rapper, Biggie Smalls. He had a line, he said, you're either slinging crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. And so for too many of us, there was this notion that the only way out or the only way to success was through sports or selling drugs. I'll be honest, sports was a great pathway for me. Sports helped me to stay cool even when I was taking AP courses in high school. Sports helped me to stay cool when I was doing well academically and really being able to shine. So I think for me, it was that whole student athlete modality that helped me to not get criticized for my academic success. We have got to help create pathways for our students, because all of the things that you all have outlined, when students are taking these AP classes, not only are they able to get college credit, even if they don't get college credit, what they have are critical thinking skills. The critical thinking skills are the things that are missing oftentimes when we get to college. Students get to college from high school and they think, oh, it's going to be just like high school. My schedule is going to be made for me. I just have to show up. Nope, you've actually got to be proactive. You got to meet with your academic advisor. You've got to be engaged. You got to figure out what your majors are. We talk about the AccuPlacer. The AccuPlacer is critical to help students not take remedial courses, so they have to prepare for those. And they also have to take them seriously. folks are just seriously, do what you need to do, and then also be thoughtful, because even if you score well on some of those tests, right? Even if you score well on some of those tests, it may be better for you to start at a little bit lower level academically so you can get adjusted to college. And so that's not what folks will tell you. I remember I placed really well in the Spanish exam when I went to college. And so I was placed in a Spanish intensive class, met every day at 8 o'clock my first semester of college. That was a bad idea. But nobody told me that. Nobody told me that you've got to figure out what works for you, and you got to ease into it. And so these conversations are really, really important. They're really important to help folks understand. Obviously I work in higher ed and have worked in higher ed for the last 20 plus years. The reality is college is not always for everyone. Clayton State University, we have a ton of adult learners. So when I hear about Mr. Guest and I've forgotten your title, is it Lieutenant Colonel Bolar? Yeah, okay, got you. So we serve a number of military students, a number of adult learners. We only have about 25%, maybe 33% of our students are traditional age, fresh from high school, live on campus in the residence hall. So we see all of the success and all of the different pathways that students take to their academic success and to their academic futures and their personal futures. People talk about the high cost of college. The cost is high if you don't do well in high school. You don't have access to scholarship opportunities. You don't have access to some of the things that make it easier for you to be successful. There are so many scholarships that are available for students right now, and we can't give them away because students aren't applying for them. Students aren't coming to the institutions. I mean, it's a challenge. We have 70% of our students at Clayton State are women. There's some imbalances in communities. We're predominantly Black institutions, so about 65% of our students are Black students at Clayton State. So we've got a really diverse student population, and we are seeing our institution is mirroring some of the challenges that are going on in high schools and in society. And so it's work to do. We've all got to do this work together. And the earlier you can encourage academic success, the earlier you can encourage students to take advantage of AP exams, the earlier you can encourage students to take advantage of AP courses and IB courses and really take their education seriously, the better off these students are going to be in the long run. If they choose to go a trade route, that's awesome. Help them to be the best they can be at that trade. If they go a military route, we want them to be the best that they can be during their service. If they come to college, we want them to be the best they can be in terms of students. I think the key is helping folks understand that mediocre is not a way to success, right? We are seeing a lot of young people take advantage of this entrepreneurial economy, being social media influencers, all these different things. Students, young people are making money many different ways at younger ages. The key is let's give them some tools to be successful for the long term. They don't have to follow the same path that we all followed, but it's important that they follow a path and that they have some understanding. And I think what we're hearing today are just some different ways to get them on the path to success. And it sounds like this is, this is what folks need to hear. I know for me, I'm learning stuff. I have younger children, and I'm going to make sure I'm taking notes and making sure they're taking those AP exams and taking those AP courses and understanding, the benefits of all these things, connecting the Khan Academy to everything that's happening with the College Board. The College Board is thousands of miles away from where it was when I was a high school student. I mean, all these resources are available for free. You couldn't get these kind of resources unless you were at serious private schools or you had some serious money for extra tutors. But now this stuff is available, it's free, it's online. The only hurdle is internet access in some cases, and we know that there are programs that give away free internet access and give away laptops and different options like that. But I'm really just grateful for this opportunity to talk with you all and to learn from you all. And I think the takeaways that we have to keep in mind are that this is a journey that we have to prepare for. You don't get up to go on a trip and not pack bags and not pack resources. And we need our students to really understand that these are resources we're trying to give them, and we want them to keep them with them for the rest of their lives. So the opportunity to converse today. Thank you for the opportunity to learn from you all today. And thank you for convening this particular event this evening.
Well, thank you, Doc. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Abdullah? You're on mute, Ms.
I don't see anything on the chat.
Okay.
Nothing
well,
new.
Listen, we appreciate that. It looks like we're doing some things right down here. From what my take is from your comments. Correct.
Absolutely. No, you're doing all of the right things. I think the only challenge is that, not enough people get to hear these conversations. Not enough people get to be a part of the messaging that you're sharing, because oftentimes we end up preaching to the choir, and we need to be out in the streets converting folks.
Correct. Well, listen, thank you so much. Also, I'd like to thank our sponsors for the event, Southern Cup Coffee Roasters. As usual, our panelists will receive some delicious coffee from this company, so we appreciate them. But we also appreciate our panelists for your commitment to be here, number one, and also your knowledge that you brought to the table today. I think everybody gained something from this conversation today. So thank you very much. And on the behalf of Axum Leadership Group, we appreciate everything you're doing in the community, as especially with our youth, because man, down here in Columbus, we surely need leadership, and we need our kids to take it to the next level, to come back and be those great leaders for this city. So thank you very much again, and have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That was good.